what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be. He did, maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened, but he didn't break him with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy, and I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that. All right, we'll see what we can do about putting it together. Thank you.
Guys, come on, let's go.
We'll see, I don't know.
All right, guys, come on. Wait, hey.
Good evening, folks. I hope first the audio's alright. Can you hear me fine? There's no echo. That audio sounded good. Because I know I had some issues last time and it has been playing on my mind. But nevertheless, we'll skip on in. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming back. I am Jazz, and this is the wee side hustle. The Jazzcast. Yeah. Every Thursday, for an hour and a half, so. We just chat about anything and everything. And I think, this has to be brought up, I think. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, you know it. So yeah, like I say, thank you very much for tuning in. I am your host, Jazz, and in this episode specifically, as you just saw... Oh, brilliant. Thanks very much, mate. Thank you. Yeah, as you just saw, that was the heated debate with Trump and Zelensky. And it's all over the world. There's memes and all sorts generated. It's nuts. But the escalating tensions between the three of them, as in Trump, Zelensky and Putin, and by extension the rest of the world, is the threat of World War III real? Is that actually going to happen? And with stuff like that, for example, it's like this close. It just feels like it's so close now, which is kind of scary. So, yes, as you know, in recent weeks, the it's been on edge. The geopolitical landscape becomes very much a volatile place now, as you can see. I'm sure some of you guys have seen the videos of how all these events have unfolded over the years. But yeah, like I say, specifically, the recent clash between the US president and the Ukrainian president, it's definitely sent shockwaves. Out with all of Trump's other exploits, shall we say. This one even more so is really going to affect us all worse, I think. So the heated exchange, which was widely covered, it highlighted, deep-seated differences between the two leaders in their respective countries. Is there going to be a solution for the Ukraine? We don't know. Yes, as you just saw there, courtesy of the Telegraph, that was a snippet of a very heated debate in the Oval Office. Now, after I first watched that, personally, I kinda cringed a wee bit. I don't know if you guys were the same, but I looked at that and I thought, oh, here we go. Is this actually real? Is this going to happen? So, it's a scary thought. So, a question I'll put to you first before we carry on. As you know, Trump has already dangled the wee carrot about possibly withdrawing, intelligence and aid and stuff like that. how do you feel the US's withdrawal as such? Do you think that's a wise move, given the current state of affairs? So, you know, if Trump is, as everybody in the West perceives it, siding with the bad guy, and that's something I'll kind of talk on. I broached that a couple of times with friends and family members and stuff like that, and I'm looked at like I'm evil. But surely you would agree that Putin wouldn't just attack a country for no reason, right? There's got to be a reason. I know he is who he is. He's a maniac. He could silence anybody just like that. But surely he's got some decorum. He knows how to play he knows how to play the rules. And I don't think he would just attack a country just like that, you know? Sorry, what do you think? How do you think that would unfold? So yeah, like I say, the confrontation between Trump and Zelensky specifically, you know, it's only adding more fuel to the fire. Hold on, I'm getting a phone call here. 2 wee seconds, sorry. Yeah, it's only added more fire. And God, honestly. Anyway, so the recent escalations only added more fuel fire to the Russians. Putin, you know, he's watching closely. You know he is. He's got his eye on something. The mineral deal as well. I mean, what is that? What's that all about? When was this going to come to fruition? You know, Putin's support for Trump's stance has further complicated the situation. And as the Kremlin continues to... I mean, have you noticed this? It kind of looks like Putin's kind of playing what looks like a long game, and he's trying to drive a wedge between Zelensky and Trump. Do you not think so? I know, sorry, I'm all over the place here with this phone. It just doesn't stop. So, let's look at it like this then. To understand the gravity of this situation, we're looking at the key players, as I say. Trump, Zelensky, and Putin. You know, they've all got their own ways of doing things. And Americans, they've suggested that Ukraine was actually kind of responsible for the war. Now, what would you say to something like that? Say I was to ask you guys in the audience now, do you believe that Ukraine was responsible for starting that war? What would be the answer to that? How could they be responsible for starting a war? I mean, it's not like they invaded Russia. No, I saw this, right? Let me bring this up. Watch this. Oh.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
what
I'm not
You're in no
So
position
again, this is the point I
to
make. This is the
dictate
awkward
what
conversation.
we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
You will
good.
feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very
You
strong.
will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position.
So
You've allowed
what I'm
yourself
seeing
to
here
be
at
in
the
a very
moment
bad
From the
position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right
is a
about
very
it.
desperate president.
Of the war,
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Bradley.
It looks like he's
position.
asking
You
for
don't have
help.
the
He's trying to ask for
cards
help.
right now.
And Trump, being who he is, he's kind of just like pulling a china shop, you know what I'm saying? I know my video seems a wee bit flashed, I don't know what's happening there. But check, the audio's still good, you can hear me, you can hear this, there's no complications. Right, okay. I need to figure out what that is. But still, is that not just a bit weird? It sounds like they're trying to oust him. Why? What's he done wrong? Is he not trying to protect the country? You know, it's a bit of an unfortunate thing. And, of course, you know, Putin's watching. Putin sees everything. He knows this. You know, his strategic manoeuvres right now, you know, they've kept the world on edge. Of course they have. Their support, you know, for separatist movements in eastern Ukraine and aggressive military postures and stuff like that, you just know they're not going to back down anytime soon. You know this. Which is kind of frightening. I mean, I've got a wee thing I can show later on. It might be a bit long-ish. I'll show bits at least. But it's the assumption, what if Putin wins? You know, what if he wins the war? What's it going to look like? You know, what if the deal doesn't go through or anything like that, you know? So a question like that. What impact do you believe Putin's actions will have on the global stage? Should we intervene? I mean, I'm sure I heard that there's several thousand, I don't know the exact number, but I know there's a fair few thousand British soldiers poised on the lines waiting to go. I'm pretty sure there'll be Americans in there somewhere. But am I right in saying all it takes is for one Western boot, formally as such, to touch that soil, and that's it, World War 3? Is that right? I'm pretty sure I heard that. That's all it takes, because then that's kind of like, is that not like NATO jumping in, something or something like that? You know, what lessons are we learning for history? More so, what lessons have we learned now to address this current global tension? I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, day-to-day life out here, you kind of don't, it doesn't feel like anything's happening. You know what I mean? You just feel like you're going on with your day, it's nothing's happening. Excuse me, when outside of these wee walls, there's this going on, and it's kind of scary. Could you imagine being a Ukrainian citizen right now? Or being a Russian soldier? Or being a soldier for any other nation getting ready? I mean, there's a point exactly as well. I've seen that North Korea and China and things like that, they're all getting prepared because Trump's tariff carry on. You've heard about this. He's putting 25% tariffs onto the goods coming into the US. That's fucking nuts. Especially to Canada, their neighbours, their allies, the ones who provide them like their power, their gas and electric and stuff like that. Seriously, that's fucking nuts. That's true. I mean, you could understand if he did it to China, because obviously I don't think he likes the Chinese. But to do something like that to a superpower like them. Trump, are you sure, mate? Are you sure? Putin, I mean, he's already been hit with so many sanctions. I don't think he cares. He's just full pelt now. He's in on it. But here's one. I'll ask you this, right? Do you guys see any potential for peaceful resolution? Or do you believe it's only going to get worse? Me personally, I don't like the thought of conscription. I mean, I'm a fair lumpy boy, I'll pit up if I need to, but I'd rather sit behind a computer than out in the front line, you know what I'm saying? Aye, I would love to hear what you guys think. Alright, here we've got one. So you're not as worried then? Right, so argument's sake then, Congo, right? Argument's sake. Say it all goes tits up. Putin wins. And I think his plan to push on beyond the borders that he's wanting. What happens if he comes knocking on our doors? You better start learning Russian. Do you know? You know what I mean? What happens there? Do you think you can see peace? I certainly hope so. But that's the thing. In my opinion, see, as long as you've got such a thing as money, and you've got such a thing as a weapon and war, there'll never be peace. There'll never be peace. There can at least be a temporary cease or an extended cease, but how often do they get broken, you know? I don't think there'll ever be. I know that sounds very pessimistic. I hope there's resolution. I hope something comes to the end of this. But with the way Trump's carrying on, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't side with any politics, right? I'm no Trump support, I'm no Putin support, I'm no Zelensky, I'm no politics in general. But I can just see as outside eyes looking in, he's going to cause a lot of problems. I think he's going to cause a lot of problems. And I could be wrong. I don't know if he's going down the same lines as Putin. But he's already served a term, and I'm pretty sure you can only serve 2 terms and that's it. So this being his technically last term, he's just going to go, do you know what, fuck it, I'm going to cause chaos. Let's ruin the world and put it to hell in a handbasket and get to the next guy. I mean, what do you say to something like that, really? That's it. So as the tensions continue to rise, you know, the international community is feeling left grappling with the question, are we on the brink? Like I say, it's a question I'll put to you guys. You know, do you guys think we're on the brink with the way everything's gone? So, like I was saying, I hope this comes through alright. We'll give you this. But we seem to be a bit of a standstill. Is that right? How so? How do you believe we're in a standstill? From what I can see, guys, I think it's only getting worse. I do. I think that meeting between Trump and Zelensky really rocked the boat, I think. I mean, Trump's a deal maker, right? He's a businessman. He's been doing that all his days. And he's even said himself, him and Putin seem to be pals. They seem to be getting on alright. But that's no And you can't cover up the fact that he's done what he's done. Do you know what I mean? He's killed thousands of people. He invaded another country with no cause. But that's my point. See, when people say things like that, he's invaded a country and he's killing all these people because everybody thinks he's a genocidal maniac. But, like I said, he wouldn't just attack for no reason. So what is the reason? As far as I understand, he's trying to reclaim the old republic. Am I right? He's trying to bring back the USSR. Now, I'm sure that as far as my memory can go, as far as my memory can handle, he has been warning the West for decades. You know, please don't come this way. Please don't create NATO borders on Russian borders. Please don't do that. You'll cause problems. Slowly but surely, yes, NATO has been pushing eastward. More and more members are joining, which is shrinking the gap between NATO and Russia. I think Ukraine, I'm pretty sure that's the last line, is it not? I'm pretty sure Ukraine is the last line of defence between NATO and Russia. Now, what gets me is, if this is the US causing problems, why does the UK need to pick up the bill? Why does the UK need to clean up all the mess? We didn't start the war. We didn't instigate with Zelensky. So why is it our men and women in the armed forces that need to go out and deal with it? Do you know what I mean? So like I say, do you think there's any viable diplomatic solutions to prevent the escalation in World War III? If you guys were in the power seats, if you guys were wearing the big boy pants, what would you do? What would your measures be to stop this? Because, I mean, let's be real, like, it doesn't matter who you are, for what country you're, war, we don't need it. We don't need it. It's just power grab, land grab, making money, all that shit. You see what I mean? We don't need money, we don't need guns, we don't need war. That's peace right there. So like I was saying, hopefully this works. I will show you this. I saw this earlier on, and this is the assumption of what would happen if the US would win. Check this out.
What would happen if the largest country on Earth decided it needs more territory and power? Well, it might just go to war over it. What country could Russia invade first? What would be the plan of attack? And what's the most dangerous weapon in Russia's possession?
I hope the audio's alright. I know there's a bit of a problem with it.
Here's what would happen if Russia started a war. Russia already takes up 1/8 of all the inhabited land on the planet. And now it has its eyes on one of its European neighbors, Ukraine. Historically, Ukraine and Russia have been in conflicts before. Most recently, Russia annexed the Ukrainian peninsula Crimea, and then it backed a separatist rebellion in eastern Ukraine. Now, Russia doesn't want Ukraine cozying up to NATO. It wants NATO out of Eastern Europe, period. And even though Russia isn't a member of NATO to make decisions on such things, with one of the most powerful militaries in the world, Russia might feel like it can play by its own rules. Okay, let's back up a little. First, you might be wondering what NATO is. Well, NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and right now it includes 30 members. The United States, Canada, Netherlands, and the United Kingdom are among them. NATO's goal is to keep the peace and make sure no member of this alliance gets invaded by an international military force. You know, like that time Russia took Crimea from Ukraine. Now, Ukraine is not yet a member of NATO, but it has shown interest in joining it. And that doesn't sit well with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Putin is already a little freaked out that NATO is training Ukrainian troops and some members are supplying its army with weapons. So he's decided to go about it with the good old method of persuasion. He's threatening to start a war. Now, with a defense budget of $42 billion, Russia puts a lot of love and money into its military.
Yeah,
Russia's army counts 3.5 million recruits.
It's like a war of
And
attrition.
it has
Do you not think?
tanks, 13,000 of them. No other
All right,
country
maybe
in
the
the world has
technology
this many.
isn't as
Russia
technologically
also
advanced.
has 27,000 armored vehicles and ranks
But they're
first
still
in the
lasting.
world with its 4,465 artillery guns.
And that's even with Ukraine getting all the help to the
then
US and
there's
everything like that.
also
You know?
Russia's nukes to worry about. All 6,257 of them.
You know,
These
nukes.
can be
That's
launched
the
from
problem.
aircraft, subs, or missiles. But if Russia decided to attack, chances are it wouldn't start on land. No, the first strike would likely come from the air. This could level electricity stations and bridges, obliterate rail lines, and cripple the economy of any country attacked. In addition to
Very
this,
interesting move, a very
Russia's
smart
naval
move.
fleet
And I bet
is
something
nearly
Putin's already
unmatchable.
thought long and hard about.
Their
I bet he's already into
nuclear-powered
that.
submarines alone, parked along a coastline, could pose enough of a threat to anyone thinking about taking them on. Depending who the targeted country is, of course. If Russia attacked Ukraine, NATO would likely respond with heavy economic sanctions. But Russia
still
has
already have,
allies of its
yeah.
own. It's a member of the Collective Security Treaty Organization, or CSTO. This is a group of 6 former Soviet states in a NATO-like alliance. It also has Cuba in its corner. And if things should get really testy, Cuba would be a key hub for Russian troops looking to do some damage
Why
on
is
U.S.
Jared Butler
soil.
there?
It's pretty scary when 100,000 Russian troops are standing on your doorstep. But this likely wouldn't be a war to wipe out the country. Chances are, Russia has something to gain from it. It might be natural resources or political
Yeah,
leverage.
that's the thing. There is a mineral
Whatever it
there, is
is,
there not?
the plan wouldn't be to obliterate every target in its way, only to do enough damage to make their point. In the case of Ukraine, it could shut down the Ukrainian economy. But they could do that with minimal forces on the ground. War is also not fought the same way it was even a decade ago. It can be much more covert. Hack attack anyone? Now,
No, they do.
if you worry about those Russian nukes, well, I might have an idea of how to rid the world of them. How about
Yeah,
nuking
definitely
a
hope the audio's
volcano?
sounding better.
You know, in the name of science. Go on, see what happens. Now, that's a story for another What If.
So, there you go. You know, a bit of food for thought there. What if Russia wins, and this is how they're going to do it? Now, as you've seen historically for wars, you know, the likes of the US went in, say it was Afghanistan, they knew they could wipe out that easily because their technology isn't all that great. Plus collapse of governments and all that carry on, all that jazz. But they're up against Putin. Putin is no slouch. This guy is a master of the craft. So Trump being you know, being the kind of man he is. I mean, he says he's pals. Do we trust him? Do we trust him, really? And I think in that meeting, for example, right, you know, Zelensky, Trump made it sound, or his wee sidekick, what's his name, Vance? Trump made it sound like Zelensky was there to be ungrateful. He was being discourteous and stuff like that. No, he wasn't. He was being what any natural leader would be, concerned, you know, afraid, looking for help. That's what it looked like. So for them to sit there and kind of bombard him like that, what do you guys think? Was that cool? Was that a good thing to do? Was that a bad thing? I don't know. All I know is JD Vance. He needs to make sure he gets it right before he opens his gob. That's all I say. I'm not my camera, but oh dear. He's a different kind of beast as him. Different kind of animal. So like I say, man, it's a nice wee short and sweet one. Just something to make you think about, you know, because it's something that I see everywhere now. I talk to some friends and colleagues and stuff like that, you know, about it. Some of them say, you might be right with that, and then some of them say, why do you side with him? He's a monster, and all this and all. You think to yourself, what is the truth? I think that's all we really want. We don't necessarily need to know the gory ins and outs, I suppose. But we kind of feel like mushrooms, do you not think? That shit get in the dark. I mean, all you want to know is what's really going on out there. Whatever you guys are thinking, please hit me in the comments. You know, like, subscribe if you've enjoyed what you've seen. Like I say, it was just a wee short one. It's something that was on my mind, and I'm sure something on your minds. You know, Russia could be knocking on the British borders really soon. And that's true. If not Russians, North Koreans, maybe Chinese. You know, that's you get to these level of far-fetched kind of questions, but who's to say that's not real? Case in point, we were talking about No Man's Sky just the other podcast, and they've got 19 quintillion planets. But who's to say that's not real? You know, what is real? Here I'm turning into fucking Morpheus now. I mean, it's one of them. Anyway, a wee short and sweet one. So that's it for today, folks. Thank you very much for being a part of the Jazzcast. The input has been awesome. If, you know, you want to see a wee bit more coming out, like, subscribe, let me know. You know, like I say, this is the Jazzcast, and the title is Anything and Everything, where we talk about absolutely anything and everything. So, if you're new to jazz, welcome. If not, welcome back. Like I say, like, subscribe. I'll be back at it again very shortly with some more gaming and another podcast. So, I hope, as short as it's been, some of the questions that came in at you are kind of thought-provoking, and what you've seen there was, you know, some images of things that are going on and about, and the main point obviously was the Oval Office meeting that's kind of fucking the world up. Do you not think so? It's kind of just send everything to shit. Anyway, folks, I have been Jazz. You have been awesome. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.